Welcome to ASCENT. Today we have a message from Spirit or perhaps your Divine Masculine. We'll find out more in a moment about what you are being unrealistic about or inauthentic about at this time that's blocking something pretty important when it comes to reunion. So, what do we need to know? Well, let's start off right away. King of Pentacles, Page of Cups. We've got 11. We've got people, person, court card. Okay. The Midas touch. A new person enters your life. Accept these opportunities confidently. Heightened psychic abilities. A relationship begins a new phase. A successful time. Okay, I'm already getting some information here, and oh goodness. Again, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. Okay, all right. Whoa, my goodness gracious. Six of Cups. Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. Wow. Romanticizing the past. Memories from your history, from your childhood. Knight of Pentacles. Wow. You're on the edge, Divine Feminine. Time to buckle down and get things done. Honor your commitments. A guardian angel. And again, this to me kind of confirms that this message could be coming from your guides or your DM. I've always felt very strongly that the Divine Masculine is like our guardian angel. And we're theirs, okay? And even when they're not, when we're in separation, there's so much about when I was in separation from Mr. Lightwork that he did for me in spirit, if you will, not even knowing it. There was just something about his vibe that just inspired me to do so much. So I know that many of you feel that way. Give me a hands up if you know what I'm saying. And so it may be challenging for some to see their divine counterparts that way, but they will come through in messages and really share important things with you. And they've been doing that lately. So that's where, again, I'm open to seeing if it's from DM. But what I will say is if you didn't notice, we had Knight of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. We had Six of Cups, Page of Cups, okay? I just want you to think about the energy that we're in. All right. Speaking of trigger warnings, I've done a pretty decent job of remembering to say this, but trigger warning on my book. Someone said it's boss. I am glad you liked it. But I need to make sure that before I do the giveaways that I do the trigger warnings, okay? We don't have a book to give away right now. If you want to purchase a book for someone in the collective, you can buy it on the Amazon wish list and we'll give it away during a reading. But again, tonight we've got exclusives to give away. I'm going to hold off on this, okay? Stay. All right, let's come over here. Wow. The Lovers and the Two of Wands. Divine Feminine, who are you really? Who are you really? Ooh, I just heard something really strong. What was that? What do you, if you say you were unawakened before, what is that? Before you and your twin got together, but you've always been a Divine Feminine, but how is that possible if you didn't know you were Divine Feminine, if you didn't know you were a light worker? How is it possible that you don't need to change? You just need to get more information. What does that mean? It means you came into this dynamic one way. But now through this separation period and through your further awakening, even if it's just another level of your awakening, you should be very different. Because stepping into your divine femininity after living in, which many of us have, mainly if you're in a Western country, I think, where women are really encouraged to be more masculine, mainly America, right? But other places probably a little bit. You are probably so deep into your masculine energy that finally being able to stand in your feminine energy should have been very different. And if you think it wasn't, or if you say, well, I'm balanced, I'm both. Again, why do you call yourself a divine feminine then? There's something happening here. This is a very interesting question. I'm kind of curious myself because you guys know I'm a very masculine person with pretty much everybody except Mr. Lightwork. And even with him, like I can, I guess a little bit, but for the most part, I'm really feminine with him. But pretty much anyone else that knows me, I'm a dude a little bit. Like, so I'm kind of like, what is that supposed to mean? Okay, all right, let's keep going. So the Lovers, Two of Wands, Four of Pentacles. Look at the divine feminine holding back. What is that? We saw time to buckle down. What is this? What's this? What's going on? Now the Knight of Cups. We saw Page of Cups. Now we see Knight of Cups. The Lovers, the Two of Wands, the Four of Pentacles, the Knight of Cups. All right. So some sort of transformation will occur once you decide to take charge here. All right, what's this? Again, with the cups, Ace of Cups, Eight of Cups, both upright. The bear and hunting dogs. We're going on a bear hunt. We're going on a bear hunt. Do you guys remember that? Again, Knight of Pentacles. Reversed. The twins. The Knight of Pentacles is buckle down, honor your commitments, a guardian angel. It shows up reversed here, talking about the twins. Okay? All right. And now, Ace of Cups, the Great Bear. Is this not what we had before? It just split again. It did it again. It does. I hate when it does that because I never believe that it's happened. Ace of Cups twice? We're going on a bear hunt. Why is the divine masculine? What does that mean? Okay, hold on a second now. Because I call Mr. Lightwork a bear. Like I've always called him my bear, a bear. He's a lot like Nick Miller from New Girl. And Nick Miller is a bear. Like they've made the joke because he'll rub his back against the corner on the wall to scratch it kind of stuff. Like bear man things. Okay, so... Okay, so hold on a second. The Great Bear. What was that? Ursa? Is it Ursa Major? Is that right? Am I tripping? Did I mix two up? No. Wait a minute. The Great She-Bear. Hold on. You go searching for your divine masculine, thinking you're going to find your divine masculine only to find yourself. Full on, okay, that makes sense for awakening. But so, oh, goodness gracious, with the Eight of Cups. Woo! Okay, diggies. Okay, let's one more time. Finish this. Okay. Y'all, the energies are in flow between the decks. Eight of Cups. This is reversed, and Ace of Pentacles upright. But you don't want to leave because you're not willing to put this. What is this? What is this? What are you doing? King of Swords. King of Pentacles, King of Swords. And am I tripping? This wasn't even the last one. I'm freaking out a little bit. All right. It's fine, Grace. You're fine. Okay. But you know what? The two things that repeated were the two freaking aces. Ace of Cups, Ace of Pentacles. Okay, so let's just pause, Divine Feminine. What does that what does that mean to you right now? What does Ace of... Okay, let's pause. One thing at a time. Everybody that's present, and if you're watching this later, write a word, a sentence, phrase, or whatever comes to mind, especially if you can type quickly. First, let's start with Ace of Cups. What comes to your mind? I'm not going to say anything else. I'm not going to tell you what it means. So if you don't know what it means, just let everyone else participate or just speak. Just say whatever comes to your mind still. Ace of Cups. My abundance is coming. Oh, I think somebody already typed that. Love. Yes, Kayla. Hello. Professing your love, new opportunities. Securing the prize of my purpose, love offer, self-love, love. Okay. Now, what comes to your mind when you think about the Ace of Pentacles? Okay. Hi. Okay. So we still got, I feel like Ace of Cups is standing in an energy of abundance regardless of finances. I can see that. I like that. That's a being able to appreciate love for the abundance that it brings in other areas, and knowing that love can attract abundance even if it's not financial, but eventually that it will turn into financial, most likely. I do feel like whatever abundance that you need, even if you're not super rich or something like that, still comes. And it's usually if you stand in a space of love and gratitude, it flows to you. All right, so now let's go to the Pentacles commentary here. Sharing wealth, new opportunity, reaching my goal of my path. I don't know what that means. She's okay. I don't know. The whole package, the real deal. Abundance, grounded, solid beginning, gift, opportunity, getting money from my purpose, abundance, abundance, and all wished fulfillment, big bank, courtship. All right. I like this. So I'm gonna come here. I want you guys to keep some of the phrases and terms I just kept in mind, because it seems as if it is the divine feminine collective hive, right? Our hive mind, our echo chambers. It is something that we would really identify with, that perhaps if this is coming from DM, they may have trouble articulating in a way that, because they're still not really that in touch with their inner feminine yet. I think that really happens when they finally get into union and they kind of can melt away the fear and the anxiety and the final little bit of ego, just feeling safe. But I think before that, it can be a little bit of a struggle to stand in that. So if the message is coming from DM, just keep that in mind, that we need to be able to translate that. If the message is coming from spirit, then this could be something where it says, you may typically not come to spirit when you're at your lowest. You may come to spirit for information about DM, but maybe not yourself, because maybe to you, your lowest moments, your rock bottoms, are usually more about DM than they are about you. But I think that may be a part of the issue that spirit is trying to address here. So make sure you're keeping that in mind with the perspective of who you feel this is coming from. And just also remember that we're talking right now about pentacles and cups, that new prosperous, abundant beginning, that new relationship flowing in. This expansion energy is present, but you need to ask yourself what it means to you. So let's get our overall energy. Let's get popping here. Wow. Queen of Wands in the 5D space. 6 of Swords in the 5D space. Now come over here. We've got 9 of Swords, the dragon, in the 3D space. And then 3 of Wands in the 3D space. This 3 of Wands is reversed. Everything else is upright. So this, again, do you see what's happening here? We've got swords, swords, and then cups, cups. I'm sorry, not cups, cups. I pointed to the wrong stuff. I'm looking at the water again because I'm thinking about that reading we did that one time. Focus, Grace. We've got wands, wands, swords, swords. And so it's interesting because there is this mirroring that's happening, and that's actually what the reading was set up to be. You know, this 5D deck and this 3D deck were meant to go together, and then this 3D deck and this 5D deck and this 3D deck are meant to go together. It kind of should be more like this. Okay? Like that's kind of what it should be. But I think I'm actually going to set it up like this. All right? Okay. So what we have here on this side is alignment with spirit. And I know some people like to pull or have their own decks. So if you want to just like, if you've got your own deck out or whatever, and you just want to pull a card to kind of coincide with each, make sure that when you pull cards with readings with other readers, that when you pull the spread in front of you is the spread. This is clarifier. Okay. So just remember what they're asking, what this position represents. The card you pull should represent their position, but it should be your card in front of you should be the primary thing. That's how you turn these kinds of readings into something more personal. Okay. So Queen of Wands, 9 of Swords, and we see 10 here. And I think the divine is trying to bring some things to completion, mainly related to what's keeping you held back from your next long period of the creative spark, the divine creative spark at that. And I think that that's a blessing, knowing that we're going into 2022. That's huge because that says that divine is supporting you and preparing you with the energies around you that are actually going to match and line up where in the past they may not have. It doesn't mean you hadn't, had success in the past. It just means that you may have been going against the grain. Things may have felt more difficult, more challenging. The reality is there's things are going to go pretty crazy in the world around us, and people are really going to cling to a sense like an edge of life and death. And when people get there, that is when people tend to help each other out the most. That is when people tend to do the most good. And so basically what's happening is with the balance of evil, as people kind of increases, you see the world is getting kind of weird, like weirder than usual, crazy than usual, that kind of thing. It's been happening for the past couple of years, but now the high vibrational people and the low vibrational people have officially reached their levels of where they're going to be for a while. And it's just like we're existing in two different planes on the same earth. So be prepared for you to experience that divine support, but also be prepared for you to look around and sometimes think to yourself, why is it that the people who chose the low path, I genuinely feel bad for them. They're pretty messed up. Their life sucks. Like, ugh, like you're not even going to just think, oh, that's their fault. I mean, there's going to be things I think that happen that you go, oh my gosh, that's beyond karma, right? There is a very clear delineation between the choices that we've been making and where those choices were leading us. So divine feminine, your job here is to get yourself out of the mode of the people, because depending on the people that you're surrounding yourself with, the energies are going to be compounding, okay? And you don't need that when you're not in a high space, and you also don't need to be misled when you're supposed to be in a higher vibration. Now, I think on the other side, what you need to know is there is a part of you that has been avoiding this ending. I don't know why, and I don't know what the ending is yet. Okay, so let's just be real. But I do see that it was something that went against your plan, and it's almost like, how at the end of movies that are all action packed and they end up having like a martyr, they end up having someone that stays to the end and has to die in order to make everything happen for everyone else. So I kind of get this vibe that you're trying to do that, and I don't know what that means. So maybe if you are like, I know exactly what that means, maybe share in the chat for other divine feminines, because sometimes we might be like, what are you talking about? We might get too caught up in the analogy, like, oh, I remember Armageddon. That was like, but I think that if there are some of us out there who can say, I know exactly what I've been doing, it could help to trigger or jog someone's memory. But there is something that you're trying through your behaviors, and maybe you don't even realize it. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe you think, wow, you know what I just realized as I say that and I picture, Armageddon, and you might think about the person who has to stay on the asteroid in the end. If you haven't seen Armageddon, come on, I should not have to be responsible for that, spoiler alert, okay? Forget the movie I said. Okay, all right, cool. So if you remember that movie and you think truly, honestly, realistically, in your brain, in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, that you are meant to be the sacrifice, that this was what you were made for. Well, guess what? Do you know what I've been hearing lately? Nah, let me not say lately, but do you know what I've been hearing more lately than usual? I will say that. More than usual is divine wants me to be alone. Divine wants me to be unhappy. This is just what my karma is for the rest of my life. I don't know. I'm not even going to continue with the negative. So what I'm going to say is, I kind of realize there's some of you that we need to grab a hold of and be like, you're not staying. And I think the only person who could get you to leave the asteroid or whatever, you know what I'm saying, is probably your divine masculine. And that might be where this is coming from them. Because they're just like, hey, listen, chill out. You're meant for more than this. There's more that you have to do. I know that there's a part of you that may not want to go forward how things have been anymore. But maybe this moment where you chose death, basically, you chose to be on your own forever, maybe this moment was just divine giving you a chance. Wow, that takes me back to what I said earlier then. That people are kind of living on the edge of life and death. Like that movie where the lady is told that she has 2 weeks to live or something like that, but then it turns out that that wasn't true. But for that 2 weeks, she lives the hell out of her life, meets her love of her life, a bunch of stuff, I think, right? I don't know. So my point here is, okay, we see some major theme coming through that says divine feminine. Divine is trying to bring a completion and you are absolutely avoiding it. But now you have to figure out what it is. Some of you may automatically think this has to do with separation and reunion, and maybe it does for you. But remember, this is ascension spiritual coaching. We focus on the divine masculine most of all because we know that 90, not even almost 99.999% of our viewers are probably divine feminines, like most of the time. And that's what you're here to talk about. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to address the things if they're going to stop you from being with your divine masculine. So when I come to you and I say, hey, this might not be about reunion, then you need to understand that even if this is something you think isn't a big deal because reunion's all you care about, if you still haven't made the connection that everything in life flows together and you don't realize that if you don't change this, you can't move forward into reunion, you're going to be asking all the wrong questions because of what you think you know. So I want to make sure you're aware that when you get a reading like this, and this kind of is going to, I think, feel like a personal for a lot of people. Usually when I do my DF readings, they do. If you're going to get a reading like this, then you have to kind of go into it and say, okay, what could my DM, the one person who knows how I feel, knows how I am, and even if they're not around, if they were here, what would they be saying? What might they be saying through here? What have I been avoiding? You know, if have I been avoiding moving? Have I been avoiding something with job or with my family? Have I been avoiding even just dealing with myself? Because any of these things could trigger momentum in some other area of my life that just has this domino effect or this ripple effect and ends up impacting my reunion energies. And maybe I've been ignoring this because to me, the only thing that was going to make my life move forward the way I wanted it to was reunion. So again, Divine has really been pushing that message lately for a lot of people. Don't just stare into the light, and think that it's this about the divine masculine when you've got this whole world all around you of other things that could impact you being able to make more headway with the thing you actually care about. So ask yourself again, what divine plan of mine, or maybe even undivine plan, what plan do I have? What idea have I really been pursuing strongly? Or even what have I put down and avoided? And maybe divine's not going to let me move forward with my life until I pick it up. So, okay. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Why don't we get it before we do this? So divine feminine, and then we'll split. Divine feminine, what is it divine needs you to understand about your sense of divine creativity, the creator that you are meant to be? And remember, we're going into the year of the master builder. 22, if you haven't looked up the number, you really should. And 2022 is also a 6 year, if you add everything up, 2 plus 2 plus 2, and that's 0. And that's a new beginning in love. It is such a beautiful time. Me and Mr. Lightwork, I cannot wait to see what we experience. But we're already in reunion, and so I feel like it won't be as noticeable. For those of you who are in separation or moving into union, you'll feel it. People have been talking about this particular cycle for years. Since I got into Twin Flames, people have been talking about 2022. So to see that divine is coming in and saying it's time for you to grab a hold of what you know is real. What is it that you need to understand about how divine is opening up your creativity and giving you a stronger, I just heard the word engineer, okay? A stronger understanding of how to build something structurally, functionally. I can't understand it, but I see this web, almost like Metatron's cube kind of thing. I see this whole how to build something. It's like God divining a universe. Why did I say that? God divining a universe. Okay. Anyways, all right. So what is it they want you to know? Get out of here. Look at this. Look at this. High Priestess. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. Look at this. Listen to your intuition. Have patience. Consider carefully what you want before acting. Do you know why? This is the divine plan. Consider carefully what you want. It's project management. Okay? Again, I know most people don't know. I know project management got really, really popular over the years, but still, most people aren't project managers. I get it. I get that you might not know how important the plan is and how to even go about setting up a good one. Okay? A plan is not an idea in your head. That's an idea. A plan is not a, random couple of days written down on a piece of paper or no. All of those things can be helpful, but a plan is specific. Okay? It is some I just thought about SMART goals, specific, measurable, right? There's all these things that you have to apply and build. Your plan has to be built almost like a web, everything has to connect and come back to each other. And if you have not taken the time to really think during this period of being in the hanged man energy, hanged woman, whatever, being stuck, not really understanding why, but also feeling like you could see this beautiful, brilliant light forming in front of you, okay? That is that pentacle they've been trying to dangle in your space. So we've got something that's being sent through, downloaded piece by piece, like in Willy Wonka, where they download the different sizes of, not different sizes, what is it? The different candy bars, okay? And he can type something in the computer and then it builds it. I don't know how it worked because it was Willy Wonka, but that's what I see. I see divine teaching you how to create something from nothing by showing you what it takes. That divine, like God, all God had to do was speak and things formed, but you also have to remember that God's capacity for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is larger than ours in this flesh that we're in. So we have to take the time and get things out of our brain onto paper. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'll say it a million times. Spelling is a spell. Write it down. Write it down, write it down. Divine Feminine, if you have not written down your 2022 plan yet, you are here with the coach of all coaches to say to you, write it down. Start the list, put it on your bathroom mirror with a pen somewhere in your bathroom so where you can write and add to it over the next couple of weeks. Whatever you need to do, start writing things down. Get it going. Why? Because Divine is trying to talk to you about this self-fulfilling prophecy thing that you've got going. And look at this. Both of these add up to 12. So both of these are telling you if you want to get off the tree, this is a great. How many of you, by show of hands raised in the chat, how many of you feel like you have been in the hanged man energy? Hanged man, hanged woman, stuck, feeling a little bit upside down in your awakening for the past, I'm going to say at least few weeks. I've been feeling really good. I have also felt completely upside down. I have been thriving. I've been getting stuff done. Like I said, I feel like there's been this divine reset press. Also feel like I've been upside down. Thank you. Who is this? Poetess. Thank you for the $10 donation. Really, it was $9.99. I feel like Divine is saying, if you want to get started, and remember, we saw the giraffe is the divine messenger of love. If you really want to get started, you have to defeat the dragon first. You have to handle the part of you that is going to make this fail out of whatever your problem is. Because sometimes I say certain words and I typically stick to the standard emotions people feel. And then people say, oh, I don't feel that emotion. Or they say, oh, how rude. Divine Feminine shouldn't feel angry. And it's like, get over yourself. You know what this is. And that nonsense you're doing is making you miss the point. I am not telling you that if I say anger, it's anger for you. I am telling you to find the problem. If you feel like you've been stuck, if you don't feel like you've been stuck, if nothing resonates so far, I hope you're enjoying the chat. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe you're just going to listen for some coaching tidbits in here or confirmation you're doing great. Awesome. Thanks for being here and being positive. But if you're like, ooh, I feel terrible. I know I've been messing up. Something doesn't feel right. Boom. If you want the message, if you want the downloads, if you want the truth about what's being dangled in front of you, you have to fight that big issue within yourself that you know full well is going to create this problem. What is this? The Four of Swords, the King of Swords, and the Five of Swords. And guess what that adds up to? That's 10 of Swords. Oy vey. It was 9, 10. No. Yeah, 9, 10, 1, 4, 5. Boy, I tell you what. Very, very tough things to think about, things that you're probably avoiding, things that divine has let you avoid and not deal with for a while. But the truth is, it's time. And if you really want to move forward, God will help you. God, source, spirit, divine, universe, whatever you believe in, mother, Gaia, all these things. But you have to help yourself. This is a coexist type relationship. You must cooperate. And unfortunately, this last little piece of the puzzle, for some of you, it's a big old glaring, like you have a puzzle that looks like a donut right now because it's one big, huge piece is the last piece. And you know, you'd be like, this is a strange puzzle. The middle's just missing. It's like, and then some of you, it's a little tiny puzzle piece that you didn't notice till the very end and had to search the whole freaking house because you're like, where the hell is this little corner piece? And you finally find it. Whatever the piece is, if you don't deal with it, then guess what? You will always walk past that puzzle and see that piece missing, big or small. And you eventually are going to start to tell people about it. And they're going to be like, oh, I didn't even notice that. Oh my gosh. I see someone who they got a big old scratch on their floor. And instead of dealing with it when it happened, they let it get worse and worse and worse and worse until now they're so upset and sad about it that every time someone comes over, they say, oh, my house is great except for this scratch on the floor. And it's like, bruh, how did this help you? You had to deal with it. Why did you avoid it? If you knew it was going to bother you. Oh, I feel like there. Oh, should I just look in the chat? I feel like there's some people that are like, oh, all right, Grace, relax. Ooh, what's that? Oh snap. Ooh. Somebody bought an emergency fee with Mr. LightWork. It's an emergency, child. I'm being nosy. His phone is over here. I got more readings to do after this. All right, Grace, focus. What can you get some insight on when it comes to what you've been avoiding? What you are unwilling to part with? What you are still deeply conflicted about? Wow. And that's 11. 6 of Swords and 5 of Cups. And we've seen this card, and this card was kind of a major message from our DM. This is a major message from our DM from this. So this is interesting to see these together because you see DM on the boat headed into the light. You see divine feminine focused, poured out all her energy over this sad scene of what's missing, why her joy is gone. But missing completely the 2 cups still behind her. Like, it's just, like, look at her fingers. She is in agony. She is in agony right now, you guys. And it's just like, I hope it's just not because you're thirsty. Because if it's just because you're thirsty and it's right behind you, I mean, geez Louise. And you know what's funny? If these are full and this is the desert and she focuses so long on this water that it dries up this water, is it also not going to evaporate the water out of the cups? And that to me is a sign of a missed blessing. And that to me is what is brought up the pentacles and cups that we saw earlier. It's like, you have to buckle down and do this. You cannot blame divine for what you decided to ignore. And that's where some of you know that you are messing up, and that's where you kind of come into these chats more humble. And then there's some of you that have no idea and you're so mad and you're running around kind of like a bull in a china shop. And then when it finally does hit you, your depression that you go into is way worse than the depression that some were just kind of sitting in for a while, because you were bouncing off, going kind of like adrenaline nuts, right? And when you finally come crashing down and realize that you've been carrying on a lot of this yourself, that you could have made a lot of decisions, and you know that some of the things that you were doing and saying when it came to like DM and all that were, I mean, very irrational, right? Oh, they made me do it. They forced me. No. Again, being actually forced to do something and then saying someone made you, saying that the spirit wouldn't let you because the sinks wouldn't stop. It's like there are certain things that you have enough information at your fingertips to learn more about, and you decided to ignore the fact that there were obvious problems that were probably psychological or medical or just issues from your own life that weren't even karma, that were just the consequences of actual actions you took. You know, if you were in that place for so long where you couldn't see yourself and you finally do, that's why you fall so hard. And so it's not surprising if you found yourself here and you're like, that's where I'm at, or I think I'm going to be. It's also not surprising if this is where you think you're going to be, that you're avoiding it pretty hard. So just make sure that whatever it is you've been focusing on, because it's interesting that your divine masculine is kind of, they're surrounded by water, but they're also in the darkness, and yet they're following the light, where it's like the divine feminine, it's almost like night is coming. It's almost as if you had the better upper hand, the better situation, but what you chose to focus your energy on. Oh my gosh, Lord, why are you having me say this? Oh my gosh. Why, man? This is again what you chose to focus your energy on so that you could claim that you didn't have the upper hand, so that you could say that you were in the worst position, seeking pity or seeking to be right, seeking to feel better, whatever it is, whatever you did has led you to a position where now you're too afraid to leave the damn desert. You're too afraid. You've been lost for so long, and I guess I don't know. You walked up on a mirage, and that just you lost your spirit. You lost your spirit. Let me look over here. What does this say? Is anyone dealing with low self-confidence more lately? I will tell you that I've been noticing that a lot in my calls. And can I be honest and say that the uh, low self-confidence continues to stem, and this came up in a reading a few months back, but it continues to stem from divine masculine not wanting divine feminine. And it wasn't necessarily the act or whatever happened that made DF lose confidence. It was over time focusing on, interesting that I just looked over to see this, and now over time focusing on the sadness. So, hello. That's why I'm like, interesting, right? Instead of focusing on the fact that, like with me and Mr. Lightwork, I knew in spite of everything that there was something going on here. And I focused on the things he did that like, that were proof he couldn't hold himself back from me, instead of focusing on the sad stuff. And I wasn't being delusional, if you will. I just was choosing not to let the bad stuff totally screw with me and ruin me, because I understood that type of thinking, I couldn't handle that anyways. My life was messed up when I met Mr. Lightwork. I was just getting back into my groove, and then something really messed up happened. I got screwed over and kind of conned by this random person, and I just like hit rock bottom really, really fast. So it wasn't that I was being delusional. It was kind of, I was in this place for myself where I was like, who am I? Who am I to call him out for any of that stuff? So again, if you find that your confidence issues have started to get worse and you're getting to a longer period in your journey, you may be having an experience where you were focused a lot on why DM didn't, and you've spent a lot of time asking yourself and focusing on the spill of separation, saying, well, was it me? Is it this? Is it that? Especially if they say, I don't want a relationship, or I don't want to be with anybody, and then they go to someone else. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that can be something that really triggers you to focus on the justification. The truth is, most twin flames find twin flames searching for a justification for their thoughts, okay? If a person looked for a justification and they ended up finding something like mental health or psychology and they went to a therapist, they probably wouldn't have found twin flames. But when you find something that fits, and there's a lot of people who will use a an awareness of limerence to infiltrate and pretend that they're like twin flame readers when really they're just readers who know that twin flames in a low state will gobble up any kind of content. But twin flame readers in the higher state understand that you don't keep people long term like that. People don't stick around your vibe unless they're bad off, right? So it's interesting because you see the divine feminine here being warned. Don't allow your focus and your energy to suck you completely dry. And it's so strange that I looked over and see this question, and it's like, well, that's a perfect example of where you focusing on trying to find the answers and maybe even being given answers that keep you sucked into the negative now leads you to a place where you can't focus on anything else. And now you're questioning your own gifts, your power, your manifestation ability. That's really big too. If you have a reader that's told you that you can manifest your DM and make them come to you, or like you've done a love potion or some sort of whatever you think you can, you do something like that and then it doesn't work. Now you question yourself. That all that stuff, because if you go to the person, they're not going to say to you, oh yeah, I gave you a fake I told you it was this. I gave you something. Blah. No, they're going to say to you, oh, you must not believe enough. People do that in even like Christian circles, in religious circles in general, right? You just didn't trust enough. You just didn't have enough faith. So you turn around and internalize that. So you need to look at the difference between divine feminine and divine masculine. Very different journeys though, right? So don't look at divine masculine seeming to handle this well, grabbing a hold of their sword of truth or their rod of truth, and doing all this to come back to you. Meanwhile, you feel like you're over here weak and tired and da-da-da. It's like, don't compare it, because that's what makes you get mad and think that readers, or even me and Mr. Lightwork specifically, are calling you out but not calling them out, or look at them on their journey. No, it's just look at the difference. Look at where you were on land and you chose to go to the desert. You chose to go and follow the things that made you feel empty. You had 2 cups still full behind you that could have helped you get, back to where you were supposed to be and beyond. And you had 2 pretty cups and you just ignore it. You just, nope, I want to focus on, I want to go sit under this dead tree. And, it's just this energy of the divine feminine being so aware and so alive in the reunion space, but being alone and alive in the reunion space for the divine feminine has been devastating to her soul, his countenance. And so the divine masculine, they're going to look like they're a beast. Why? Because they've been going forward on their journey the whole time. You went back. You went searching. You went places you didn't belong. And again, it's not to say like, oh, you were so messed up, you're dumb. No, dude, this is not an easy journey. And the loneliness is real when you know who your person is. It was one of the most devastating things I had to deal with when I wasn't with Mr. Lightwork. Knowing that from that point forward, from the moment I met him, I never had that happen with me with any other person. I had a huge crush on someone before, like not the person before Mr. Lightwork, but the person before that person. I had a huge crush on someone for 3 or 4 years, to the point where I was celibate. And I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. I didn't even know this guy. I didn't even talk to this guy. But I didn't find him that attractive. It was beyond that. It was like a whole package kind of deal. Whereas Mr. Lightwork is like whole package, bonus cherry on top to me. It was devastating to not be able to experience his energy, to vibe with him, to share my life with him. And then the farther away I got from him, like I even went to California at one point. It was just devastating. I know what it feels like, you guys. I'm not oblivious to this. I'm telling you though, you have to come back home sometime. You have to come back to yourself sometime. And if God is trying to get your attention and say to you, hey, listen, this thing you've been doing, the way you chose to go about this, the vibe you've been keeping, whatever this is that's been sitting with you since the beginning of this reading, as if you've been here that long, you're going to have to deal with it now. You're going to have to address it because it is time to move forward. So the final thing here, your 3D message, your plans have to change. They're not as optimistic as you think, because many of you, the plans you have with your divine counterparts, are based on a lot of compromises, and not good ones. Like compromises based on you really not having faith that your DM is going to be who they're supposed to be. But then also kind of these unrealistic expectations. It's kind of a strange. I don't like it. I kind of have it's kind of ew. So you want certain things from your divine mask. Oh, I see. You're willing to sacrifice and settle for certain things, but they do have to do other things. Okay. And what's interesting is that thing that you've created in your mind of what you think you're going to end up with, you know you deserve better. But you tell yourself that you'll be happy, which is nuts to me. What's going on here? What's going on? Some of you guys already know what this message is about, and you're like, bro. My dog said, I have never been such a complainer in my life. Honey, don't worry. You're not the only one. Oh my goodness. Okay. What is the message? What is back here? What is underneath the plans and the things that we've kind of decided that I guess this is what it is? Almost like we've taken control of our situation. It's very strange because it's just this pretend power. It's like you're pretending that you know, and you're pretending that you're happy. Y'all, what is this reality TV show I'm channeling right now? Wow. It's the freaking Six of Cups. Oh man, y'all. Oh geez. Okay, well, I mean, we've got sync after sync after sync. I don't know what to tell you. Look at that. And in case you didn't believe it, there's your Six of Swords. There's your sign. There is something you are romanticizing. Remember, the Six of Cups is a sync, and we saw the Lovers. There is something you are romanticizing. There is something that you are looking at from the past and creating either something good or something bad. Because remember, not every person fantasizes, right? Some people, what is that? They doom spiral, okay? So again, when you listen to a reading like this and you hear me call out one typical response or trait, don't get slick and try to exclude yourself from it because you're like, oh, I don't do that. But what do you do? Because you know yourself, and when you're listening to this type of message, being able to know and be honest with you, especially knowing that no one else has to know this, that you could just do this in your head. You know what I'm saying? Just admit that you are doing this in your mind and no one can embarrass you about it. Why wouldn't you do that? Make sure that you're not so desperate to feel good about yourself and in control and all these things that you'll avoid your own truth. You'll avoid your own awakening because, again, if you felt like you were in hanged man mode for the past few weeks at least, and you want more, you want things to change, you want things to get better, then you have to acknowledge where you are, or else nothing will change. All right, so we're just gonna get a card from each of these. So if you feel like this is working for you, if this is resonating, or you feel like this message is something that you need to hear, take a moment and just ask yourself, now that you've been thoroughly called out, just ask yourself, okay, how do I really feel about this? What do I think I might need to do so that when the message comes, you can actually work with it, okay? All right, so take some time while I get this laid out. Too many Ace of Swords, huh? What are you being challenged about, Divine Feminine? Whoa. I'm sorry. Okay. Whoa. Oh my. Okay. Okay, Divine Feminine. So here's your message. First things first. Wow. Time to have a revelation. The Tower. This is going to be one of the most significant moments of your life. All right, maybe it won't happen during this reading, but some of you have had those aha moments from a reading 3 weeks later, a day later, and you come back and comment. So I know it happens, but some of you don't do that. You don't even remember the reading, but you remember the seed was planted. So some of you are hoping that this is real because you know that if 2022 isn't just going to end up being a repeat of 2021 and 2020 and somehow 2019, even though the world was completely different and you're not really sure how the hell that's possible, then you're going to have this revelation and you want it. So there is something divine is trying to say to you right now. And I believe that you've already gotten this message a couple times in this reading, but let's just go ahead and I believe it was even in this position that you got the message that it's time to move on, time to spread your wings. It's time to go forward. This revelation will lead to change, your change in you. And again, that's not a dig like, yeah, it's because you need to change, Divine Feminine. Stop letting being called out let you get or make you so riled up. Stop letting being called out, being called wrong, being triggered. Stop letting that overwhelm you. Take a freaking breath, okay? I'm for real. Even if you feel okay, but you feel like your stomach kind of sinks into your belly, take a breath. It really works. Get yourself under control, because I'm not the only one who's trying to bless you with these little nuggets of truth. Sometimes it's even in the world around you. It doesn't just have to be tarot where you get your information from. And if this is the only place you get your information, even if it's just me and Mr. Lightwork, that's problematic. You need to get yourself some other pieces, some other spaces, some other resources. But it's time for you to spread your wings. And the revelation must be welcome or else it won't come. So, opening yourself up, let's go over here. What do you need to do? What is the revelation related to? What is it that you have been avoiding when it comes to your own will, right? Applying yourself, pushing yourself to do more and to be more. What is it that, whether it's light work or just generally being this person in your life, what has been a problem for you in being a divine feminine and being a divine being? What is it that you've got to do? Wow. Now, let me just point something out. We have 2 tarot decks and 2 playing card decks, and both of the tarot decks pulled up major arcana cards. So you want to talk about change? You want to talk about something major coming? Well, divine feminine, it looks like, whoa, deja vu. Oh, that was a creepy roll too. I didn't like that feeling. Remember earlier when I said most of you found your twin flame journey or like awakening stuff, whatever, when you were looking for a justification, whether it was, why can't I stop thinking about this person? Or why do I keep letting this person back into my life? How do you explain, why do I feel like obsessed with someone, And many of you, in searching for the justification of your behaviors or your feelings or your connection, forgot to deliver justice to yourself, to the situation, to your life, whatever. You forgot what you were here to do. And what I find interesting is, honey, we got 2 different tarot decks, 2 different cards, no less. But look at the scene. We have a winged we got wings. You see the dress, white dress. Now, this person doesn't have scales. I admit that. But I'm going to tell you, it kind of looks like they're about to go pick them up. Because you can see the light. Look at the mountain range. You can see the light shining through. And it's almost like they know it's time for them to go and create the new day, the morning in their time. Mr. Lightwork and I, we watched cockadoodle. Did you guys look at that? Somebody said they Googled, why can't I stop thinking about this person? And twin flames came up. 2 people said it. 2 people said it. Why can't I stop thinking about this person? Wow. All right, cool. Back. Take it back. We watched Rockadoodle. And Rockadoodle, in this movie, long story short, there is a rooster that believes that if he doesn't crow, that the sun won't rise. And everyone believes it too. But then someone evil who hates the rooster does something to him to where he cannot crow in the morning. And the sun rises without him. And all the animals in the farm think, wow, what a fake, what a fraud. And so he goes off and he becomes like a weird Elvis. All right, then later in the story, the rooster has to get called back to the farm because the farm is almost completely darkened forever. Because ever since he left, the sun shone less and less. And what I'm getting from this is, Divine Feminine, you thought, wow, this is going back to the whole you thinking you're supposed to be a martyr. You're thinking you're supposed to be the one that dies thing, but you're really supposed to be the one that saves the day and comes back a hero because you have more work to do. You thought this was the end for some reason. Some of you thought because you hadn't gotten into reunion yet, you were giving up on your whole life. Some of you heard from a reader that this wasn't going to happen this lifetime and you believed it and you lost your hope in everything. Yet you're still watching this stuff, which is also very, very toxic. But anyways, if you don't believe in this stuff anymore, don't watch readings. That's very unhealthy for you. Okay? Don't do that. So as someone who walked away from the light, even though you did not realize how important you were to the light shining in the first place, you have not only brought yourself so much pain, but you have also brought everyone who depended on you pain. Now you can look at that and say, well, it was the divine masculine who caused this. But what you have to realize is, and I guess I can say this more from like a Christian point of view, so maybe some people don't have this in their system, but like for me, I believe that when I die, there is a very strong chance that I will still be kind of questioned, right? Like you get to the gates and they ask you about your life. Now, as a person who believes in salvation, I get that even at the end of this, it could be like, okay, hold on, before you bang the gavel, she's mine, and we still walk off to the side. But if there's a moment that still comes in spite of that salvation where I have to stand in front of God and go over the deeds of my life, I can't say my DM made me do it. And I think that that's the problem with some of the approaches that you guys have to how to do your light work and not being allowed or able to do anything until your DM comes along, or thinking that this lifetime is basically just going in the garbage, just trash because your DM, because someone said its reunion doesn't happen this lifetime. What? You are needed. And wherever you were supposed to be, wherever you are called and led to, the light's about to go out permanently. You could be a feminist. I don't care. I'm not a feminist. And if you are, what's up? If you're a disrespectful human being and you can't respect my opinion, screw you, whoever you are. But if you're a feminist and I'm not a feminist, we should be able to kick it. Again, y'all could be what you need to be. Just remember that you got to ask yourself, is my divine masculine a feminist? Because if they're not, that's right there is unrealistic to expect them to believe what you believe. And it would be really fucked up for you to try to shove it down their throat. What a feminist or whatever it is. Mr. Lightwork and I got together. He was not a Christian. As hard as it was for me, I toned it down. So again, throwing that out there. But anyways, Divine Feminine, you left the light. If you, in leaving the light, did not notice you were leaving the light because you are light and it was hard for you to see, it may be hard for you to find it again, because if you don't see yourself as light, you're just going to wander through the desert. So not only do you have to remember who you are, but also realize that you are not the sum of your experiences. You are who you are in the moment. So up until a certain point, let's say that you were a drug addict. Up until a certain point, that may be all you have to say for yourself, especially something like that can take away a lot of your identity while you're in it. But once you heal and you're no longer a drug addict, okay, and now you're just you again, you could walk around just saying, well, I'm just a drug addict, or because I was at one point, or you can move forward in every new thing that you are. And I'm telling you, Divine Feminine, whatever you've been a tarot addict, some of you. Some of you have been Divine Masculine addicts. Some of you are sex addicts and you need to get help, but you don't even realize it. You don't even think it's possible. Some of you are food addicts. Some of you are shopping addicts. Some of you are stress addicts. But the Ten of Swords came up earlier to speak to you and say, it is time to end the addiction. And the first step is what? The first step is what? Who knows what the first step is in any program? I just want to hear your brain think it. What is the first thing I've got to do in order to be able to move forward with healing something? It is admitting that I am injured. You're walking around like Mercutio talking about, it's just a scratch. It's just a scratch. Baby, you know what happens when every single character that says it's just a scratch in the movie always dies. It's like a thing. 'Tis not just a scratch. Your divine counterpart's behaviors injured you. Injured you. Spiritually, mentally, physically, maybe all of the above. Their habits and behaviors hurt you, could have gotten you killed even, some of you. I know some of it was very dangerous what they had going on. Where you were is not crazy that you ended up there. But you can also not be a part of a community like this and then not move forward and not grow and not shift and not change. No one's asking you to be perfect, but everyone around here is saying, including God, Source, Spirit, Universe, Divine, and probably your Divine Masculine's inner self, is saying to you, you are so special. You are so important. How have you not realized yet that the reason why you've been under attack is because your message, your light, your goals, everything you're meant to do is so critical to the grand scheme that the darkness is going to do everything it can to stop you, including providing you with something to play into your human nature of addiction and the addictive, what is that called? Addictive personalities that we pretty much all have. Because even some of us that think we don't will end up realizing maybe a little bit, okay? The darkness has fooled you. And it's come in such a major way in your life that it's almost like there's a dark cloud just sitting over your head. Your Divine Masculine, I think the difference with them and the Divine Feminine is a natural propensity to seek that divine protection. Divine Feminine, I'm not saying you're stupid. And again, I know we got feminists pretty much everywhere, right? We got feminists in the room probably. So I'm not trying to like talk about women's roles and feeble, they're the lesser sex. No, I'm not doing all that. But what I will say is the divine nature of the feminine and the masculine are different. The gifting is different, okay? I am obviously a very fierce warrior. Like I have a lot of masculine protective instincts. I get that. But I also understand that there are certain things about my feminine side and my feminine nature that are required of me that are under attack just in the place that I live, let alone when I'm trying to go forward and do things the right way, the way they should be played out and carried out. So if you know that you struggle with certain things, you know that you have these issues, and then you come into this light space where everything is supposed to be happy-go-lucky and positive and all of that, and you lose yourself completely, and you forget that you have this calling on your soul, and you get distracted by where is my divine counterpart, and all these things happen all at once. The dark cloud sitting over your head, whether you're Chanticleer the freaking rooster, cockadoodle, rockadoodle, whatever, or whether you're this freaking chick who just realized that she's the one with the power to literally lift the cloud up, whatever it is that you are supposed to be doing right now, there is an equal importance in figuring out that, the light, the creativity, all of that, and what the even let this happen? How did you get here? If, and here lies, I gotta say this, if it is your divine masculine, baby, come here, come here, come here. Lean into your phone. Pop! No, it's playing. I want you to realize that still reflects on you. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to say, oh, so what happened? And you're going to say my DM, and they're going to say, oh, good. At least you know what it was. That should make you feel better. Sure. It should make you feel a little better that you understand that a person was able to infect you like that. Now you need to pull back and say, how the did that even happen? How did I get myself so caught up in whatever that I allowed the darkness to set in, that I allowed the clouds to come over? You know, I don't know about you guys, but whatever your normal weather pattern is in your area, you kind of know it. And like, I lived in Florida most of my life, right? I know when I see clouds rolling, I know how fast the storm is moving. I know when it looks like it's going to break. I can tell the colors of clouds to see what type of rain it's going to be. I know my space. And I'm telling you, Divine Feminine, you knew that dark cloud rolling in. You saw it rolling in. You let it roll all the way in. You did nothing to prepare for it because you believed some crazy lie that suddenly that you were immune to clouds. That's not true. And whoever is out there trying to tell you some of the wild stuff they're telling you about twin flames and reunion they're messing with your confidence. They're messing with your journey. They're messing with your relationship. And you should say them people, if they are not for you and you're realizing that they're the ones who have lied to you and said these things, and you're realizing the things that trigger you and bother you the most, not the stuff that you say is me and Mr. Lightwork that's abrasive and all this and tough love. No, but the stuff that you realize was just lies. The stuff that made you want to give up on your whole life. The stuff that made you sit down for years because you really believed you couldn't do your light work without your DM. Whatever it is that has had you wasting your time, those people. But babe, if it's been you, what do you think we're supposed to do there? Just brush it to the side because it was you? No, F that part of you. That's your ego. It's time to do battle. It's time to have a fight. What's up? Let's go. So, what's going on in your 3D? The Joker, the little fox in reverse, Vulpecula. Let's look up Vulpecula. Vulpecula. I think that's interesting. You see the little fox, and foxes are known for being sly. And I think that's very interesting that what shows up in your 3D that Divine is saying, hey, this is what is bringing the self-fulfilling prophecy vibes in, is you going back and forth between being slick and sly and then doing what's right with Divine. It's like oh my gosh, when our Mr. Lightwork's son, our son lived with us, we found out his favorite candy, so we bought the candy, but we obviously aren't going to give him all the candy, so we put the candy away. And so our son would freaking go and try to sneak the candy. But then whenever we would like come out, now he didn't know we always could see him, but anyways, he's legit, you know what I'm saying? You know how kids think you can't see them for some reason. It's so funny. So he would go do this stuff. And then when we would come and check on him, he would run back and sit down real fast, like he wasn't doing it. And it's like, bruh, do you really think I can't hear you thundering across the floor back to the living room? And I can't see that you're sweating. I'm sorry. And that you look tired. You don't think I heard you? And so I feel like sometimes we think we're slick and we think that Divine doesn't know what we're up to. And that if we just do this over here and do this over here, it's almost as if like we're half-assing, half investing in Divine's plan, but just in case Divine's plan doesn't work out, we got something going over here. So hold on, really quick. I was supposed to look this up. Hold on. Vulpecula. The myth behind Vulpecula. The Vulpecula and answer. Now, what's interesting is the message that came through here said the answer that you seek will come when you fight the dragon. So that's very interesting. But the answer is missing from this. Why? I don't know what this means. Oh, I think I'm looking at something for Dungeons and Dragons or something, you guys. History. Show me something. The constellation. Why won't it tell me anything good? It was illustrated with the goose in the the goose is in the jaws of the fox. The golden goose, the divine masculine. What are you trying to take? Why are you trying to drag your divine masculine into your journey? What does that mean? Divine feminine, do you ever feel like you're avoiding your own separation stuff by focusing on theirs? Let's find out though. Let's see. So what do we need to know? 10 of Wands. Oh, I saw this and I laughed. And you know why I laughed? Because it was like the work. Okay. This is a major trigger for a lot of people in the collective. When you get a message where you feel like the reader is telling you you're not doing the work, oh, you lose it. And you're like, how dare you? It's like, hold on, pause, cuz, fall back, just chill. That's not what they meant like that. Dang. I want you to understand when they say that you're struggling with the work or avoiding the work, it doesn't necessarily mean everything. There are employees at your job right now that you cannot stand that will never get fired because they do just enough, but they avoid doing the real work. So before you think to get snippy and snappy when it's like, what's your problem? What are you not doing? What are you avoiding? What are you struggling with? The work itself. Don't assume that divine is counting out the work you've done. It could be saying, listen, I'm really glad that you cleaned the whole house, but you didn't dust. I don't know. Like you missed a major thing that is more or equally as important as some of the other stuff. And the way that you're acting is like you're done. And that might be the only reason you feel called out is because maybe you really are. Some of you have decided that at certain points you're done with your awakening. You're like, and not to mean you're done, like I'm done, I don't want to do it anymore, but more so you're done, like, hey, I'm done. Like I don't need to worry about this anymore. I've reached a point where I am now awakened. The way that I think, the way that I move, the way that I act is just exactly where I want to be. So I'm good. The issue with that is that awakening never ends. And if you look at it as some sort of test that's really hard and everything is stressful and that awakening is always dark night and shadow work, then you're going to miss the opportunity to take charge and enjoy your awakening journey throughout your life. Because every time a new lesson comes up, you're going to take it like you're being punished. Every time something happens where you're being shown maybe where you missed something, you're going to think that you are not good enough when it's really just layer by layer helping you to heal. One of the things that I talk about in the contract reading is that divine gives us what is that called? Like a flaw. Okay. And the flaw is meant to be a blessing. One of the things that I always used to mention is my weight. And what I mean by that is when I was young, my weight would go up and down and roller coaster because I was like a stress eater. I probably still am a stress eater, but the difference is Nowadays, my weight has pretty much stayed the same, like especially since I've been with Mr. Lightwork, because when in the past, when I was unaware, it would take me getting to a point where I didn't fit my clothes and beyond to really realize, girl, you are stressed. Whereas now, once I realized that every time I got into a bad relationship, it would be like everything was fine, 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 and then they would do something. Like a guy, he started sexting with his baby mama, and I remember I gained like 40 pounds in a few months after being the one size forever. You know, I started to realize, oh, there's a pattern there. Something's connected. So for me, whereas it could have been my downfall, being around parents that were really on me about my weight my whole life, and even though they were big too, and it, you know, all that stress, it could have been something where maybe I had eating disorders or something, and I know some people deal with that. But instead, because it was meant for my good, now the moment my clothes start to fit tight, I don't go, oh, I need to lose weight. I go, honey, are you okay? What's wrong? Let's take a second. Why are we having all these cravings for sugar? Let's take a second. So it's a blessing that whatever that response is in me that makes me say, I'm stressed, I need to put something into my mouth, has now become a trigger for me in my awareness. So you need to think about it. Is it you? Do you got a horrible attitude? And can you kind of tell, like, whenever you get into that space that, because maybe it's hard for you to keep an upbeat, positive attitude, but you do your best. But when you notice you turn into a real B word, like, dang, I'm leaning into C word territory today. Like, maybe I need to pull back. Maybe that's your thing where you recognize, hey, I'm tripping and something's up with me. I don't need to punish myself. I need to love myself. So again, when someone calls you and says you're having a problem with the work, they may actually be saying to you that you are missing the point. You're missing the purpose behind it. You don't understand divine's intentions. You don't really get what you're supposed to be learning, rather than saying you're not doing it. Rather than saying you haven't done any at all, maybe they're telling you, you did all this stuff. Why you keep avoiding this one? So, okay, very interesting. I like this. I love the fact that we have the Fool here, because remember I said these are playing card decks. So, and I pointed that out to say that we can't have major arcana with these, right? I think the Illuminated Tarot, which is like a playing card deck, it has the whatchamacallits built in. It has the major arcana built in. But I think it's interesting that we have a Fool here. But it's, to me, it's kind of the Fool in reverse, and it's telling you, look at your major arcana energy. Tower, Fool reversed, and Justice. And this Justice, when, again, it's a beautiful card, but right now, when we're talking about what we've been talking about with the Divine Feminine, this kind of comes across as a little bit of like a Divine Feminine. So I think this is interesting that when it comes down to it, the weight of the world on your shoulders that you feel right now has a lot to do with you needing to choose to move forward. I don't think this is necessarily talking about what you haven't done. Let's avoid looking back right now, because it seems like we may have been spending some time in the past anyways. I don't know about y'all, but I've been having some wild dreams about my family the past few weeks. It happens all the time. I think ever since I separated from them, like, I have these dreams. So just throwing that out there too, that your mind might have dreams about things. And if you're dreaming about DM, it might not always be a 5D message. All right. You have to keep that stuff in mind. But yeah, you might have been dealing with some stuff lately. And if you feel heavy, if you feel like there's a lot going on, it's because I think less about like, oh, you're not ready, you're da-da-da. No, and it's more about you are ready. In fact, you're really close to something huge. You're really close to having this amazing just experience of duality. I feel this shift from being stressed and anxious and worried and feeling really alone to feeling loved and feeling excited every single day. And again, if you think right now when I say that that's because reunion is coming, some of you it might be, but why the does your divine masculine have to be the only thing that's it's okay to, want in your life? Like, why aren't you okay wanting the things that you used to? Back in the day, before you found out about twin flames in your DM, divine could surprise you with all kinds of things and make you smile. Your obsession with your divine masculine, whether it's small or big, is something I think that, again, I come from the Christian background, and we know God gets jealous. Okay. God don't play that. So it's like, if I know that I have a jealous God and I'm pouring every ounce of my energy into my divine masculine to the point where even when I get a blessing, something good comes into my life, I still just can't accept it. How do you think God would feel? At least my God, right? How do you think my God would feel? So do yourself a favor. Be honest about the fact that you have been turning your nose up to blessings. Because if you can be real, now again, if you haven't, you haven't. But if you're not even willing to test that, what? You're not awakened. You can't, living in denial doesn't mean you're awakened. You're just saying the words. But an awakened person lets everything flow through them. They don't block things. Because you might say, well, Grace, I have a block up to all negative energy. And it's like, but why? If you're so awakened, why not allow it to flow through you and transmute it? Again, that's where you go and you be a part of conversations. And instead of, firing back at people, you call them quietly and calmly out. And suddenly, the energy that was just huge and angry, and whether it was racist or sexist or whatever it was, suddenly it's shrinking down. And instead of keeping it flowing, it's right. So if you can't find a way to do that, I think even with yourself and helping just calm things down, again, where I called you earlier and said, hey, take a deep breath when you feel like my adrenaline's pumping, I just got called out. Take a deep breath so you can get the message. It's like, if you can't bring yourself to do these things, divine is going to be so sad. That's all. You're so loved. You are so honored. You are so gifted by this being that says, oh my gosh, you're special. You're necessary to this whole plan. And they just wanted you to know it's really not about what happened yesterday. Right now, it's about what happens tomorrow. And they're just asking you to stand a little bit more in cooperation with them by recognizing who you've always been and who you're supposed to be, and that they're nowhere close to done with you. All right. Let's look here. Ooh, somebody said something. I have to say this. Let me tell you this. Said, I got addicted to the divine reward system, then became a pouty bitch instead of recognizing my own part in the closeout. Whew. The divine reward system, child. Honey. Okay, now, what is it that we need to know? Wow. It's time to change your mind. In order for you to be able to trust what happens next, you have to figure out where you don't trust what's happened. Wow. Because that is what this year has been about, so that next year, and again, we're already in 2022 vibes right now. Whether you believe it or not, honey, I can tell you. I can tell you. You want the love, you want the feeling of home. You want the growth, but you want to feel it on a level within you where there's a certain confidence. That is all available to you. You have to start with you first. You have to start with what you've been avoiding. You have to start with all the things that Twin Flame Tarot has allowed you to, or distracted you from. Wow. Come on. 10 of Cups. 10 of Cups. What's back here? And look at the 9 of Swords back here. The sun will shine. I love this. I feel like we have the sun and the Fool. It's so funny because I said there's no. But then, you know what? It also makes me think this is going to be like Wheel of Fortune and the Hermit, which totally makes sense. think about the Hermit and then the Wheel of Fortune, like creating some sort of spell to turn themselves young again, right? To start over. Like, oh, I'm gonna go back in time. I want to start over. I'm getting this vibe of, and wow, you know what's funny? I really feel like I'm entering my new phase. I feel like the last 3 years, I kind of called it and said it, so maybe I also planned it that way. I don't know, but I feel like the last 3 years has been building my foundation. I'm getting emotional. What the frick? Building my foundation and just helping me to establish in my mind that I am in my new space. Like, I had to really understand this is where you are now. This is what life is now. This is the vibe now. And I feel like I finally get to have the moments of yay and we're at Disney World and I get to have that finally. I want that for you, but my thing is I cannot help everyone on that individual level like I want to. It is one of the hardest parts about being a coach and being in this place where it's like I want to help every single person I come into contact with, because I know if we could just sit down and have that one-on-one moment, but that's not really feasible, because even if every single person could afford it, or even if I made it to where it was like free, I wouldn't be able to reach everybody. So what I have to do is say to you in these moments, listen, you know yourself. And you know what's nuts? I looked at the screen and I saw 197, 179 or something. I don't know what I just saw, but I just saw, it looked like a mirror. And it's like, you have to be able to see yourself in the mirror for who you truly are and figure out what it is about the way you are, the way you act, the way you live, the attitude that you have, the way you see the world, whatever, that has kept you in this place, regardless of your divine masculine. Like, take your twin flame journey out of this situation and just look at it as if that had never happened. What has always been up with you? What is the common denominator of your life that hasn't changed? Because until you figure that out and get yourself into a place where you're making changes to that and making things different, whether that means you actually set everything up for the future and it changes like this, or whether that means that you start the process of changing and just can know. I talked about this the other day. I am no longer offering personal readings. And if I do, it is going to be at a very limited level. And at first I felt so guilty, but then as I sat and thought about it and took the time with it and realized that it meant I could do more for the collective, I just felt free, you guys. I felt so different. And I thought I was going to feel terrible. I have been avoiding that for 3 years. Since I started doing these, I knew that I could not keep doing it because I don't know just how to do one a day. It's like if someone needs one and they can't afford it, I'll lower my prices. I am not a good business owner. I learned it when I was a coach. I give things away. I burn myself out giving up my time. I'm not even a good employee because I'll do it for a job. I'll do it for a boss. So I had to get myself to a certain place and realize that whether Mr. Lightwork was here or not, there are certain things that I was going to do, certain things I wasn't going to do. And if I wanted to be happy, I had to do things that were more for me than I had been doing before. When I started my ministry, I was in separation or I was in pseudo union. I wasn't really happy and I needed something. I needed to be reminded. I needed this excitement. And so I poured myself into it. But the truth is, my same old freaking stupid, dumb, bad habits didn't die. They stayed with me. And now I feel this excitement of, okay, shedding a little bit more from what belongs. Not to say that I'm now unawakened, because as a part of my awakening, I started doing readings. So now that I'm not doing them, what does that mean? It's like, no, I'm growing and I'm shifting and I'm changing. So as I go from doing more or less individual stuff, but more collective stuff, so I can help more individuals and find myself feeling happier, then suddenly my whole life opens up and everything around me feels good. And I already have all these other ideas of things that I can do to help more people. But if I had sat and still avoided knowing it was going to hurt you guys and knowing that I might close myself off from someone that needs me, and if I just sat in that fear of that change, nothing was ever going to be different. And I would have gone through an entire year, and 2022 at that, feeling like I wasn't doing what I needed to do for divine, even though what I was doing was very much divine. So when I say to you, divine feminine, you are being called to a higher standard of loving yourself, honoring your commitments, doing what you came here to do. I'm not telling you that means because you haven't been doing it. I'm not even telling you that means you need to do more in the sense of busyness. I'm telling you that divine is asking you, are you really happy? Are you really happy? Is this really where you want to be? Is this it? Are you feeling confident in the plan that divine has set for you? For real. Because if you're answering, I don't know, to some of this, it doesn't mean you're messed up and to go wallow in it until you find a reading to distract you. It means sit down and talk to yourself. Talk to divine. Have a minute and figure out why. Because you could probably fix it. You could probably find that thing that maybe you're doing right, but you could do something better. Or you might find that thing that you know you're doing wrong and you know you're addicted to, and you can maybe try to get some help for it. So what is your advice here? What do you got to do? Look at that. Be your own damn emperor. Your divine masculine can't be you for you. So yeah, when you guys are in partnership and when it comes to your mission and your journey, they will be your emperor, and it will be gorgeous. It will be beautiful. They're going to surprise you. But in your own life, again, when you go from this earth, and if there is that, tribunal at the end where some ancient being says to you, what of your life? Make sure that you're not talking about, my divine mask. No. Be your own person. Build your life. The Emperor is a card of structure and organization. The truth is, I know some of you are like me and you don't like to do double work. What does that mean? That means you're like, I'm going to just wait on my DM, so I only have to build this kingdom once. Sorry, baby. But guess what? You may have to get comfortable in your new house, build your new kingdom, and still end up moving or combining households. Sorry. Would you really allow yourself to live in squalor or in less than you could out of laziness? Out of fear? No, not anymore. Be your own emperor. If it comes down to something as simple as like, you want a man or a woman, you want a partner, companion, or whatever, bruh, go meet some new friends, man. Like, I'm sorry. I just feel like some divine feminines, not all, but there are some divine feminines who act like kind of like pouty babies with the whole, until my DM comes, I'm not going to be happy. And it's like, bruh, what benefit does that hold to you? But especially, what does that look like to your divine counterpart? That says that you're putting all that pressure on them already to be at all this stuff for you, that you can't do anything yourself. And then the worst part about it is, so many of you are feminists. A lot of you are traditional like me, and that's probably why we vibe on the channel. But some of you vibe with me in spite of the fact that I'm traditional and you're feminist or whatever it kind of is. And it's like, even still, as you sit here and say you're a feminist and you all these things and you're independent, you're also like putting all this pressure on your divine masculine that I don't think you've really thought through. Because if you really take the time to think it through, you're gonna be like, wait a minute, this is complete contradiction within me. And that might be where you feel crazy. I will acknowledge, a lot of feminists are angry on my channel. Like, the moment you say anything about the divine feminine, they leave like 16 comments. But the weird part is their names are always like, like, don't try me. I don't need a man. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. It's very strange. So it's like they go around kind of looking to be triggered. They go around looking to be right. Again, that's just one ist. There's probably all kinds of other ones. So look, you see this beautiful sense of you being both, you being everything you need to be, you bringing divine structure to your world and to your life, and not doing it in a hypocritical way, not doing it in a way that is spiteful, but doing it in a way that just says, I care about myself, my future, and I know that I'm here to do a lot of things that go beyond what my person can do with me, what my person will do when they're by my side. There are going to be some things that I do when I'm with them that have nothing to do with them. This is the best time to practice, hon. Hold on, what's here? What is this? Wow. Temptation in the back. All this major arcana. Look at this. We've got the Devil, the Emperor, Justice, the Tower card, and the Hierophant on the table right now. And what did I call out earlier? The Wheel of Fortune, the Hermit. We have a whole fool's journey in a reading. Why? Because you're being asked to look at everything and realize that the only thing that you can do now is build. Because I know there's a lot of temptation to look at this reading, to look at this whole journey as a way to just stop and not do anything and just wait. Because that's the truth. The truth is, a lot of us, when we went looking for twin flames, we found it at a point where we weren't in a good place with our person. It's actually pretty rare. Again, I'm sure there's always like one person that's like, actually, and it's like, great, I'm happy for you. But you also know from how many times it's been said, and you're always the only one to say actually, that it's not normal, that just happens to be your story. But most people find twin flames asking questions that if you asked it to someone outside of the spiritual space, the answers that you could get may be just as valid. So yes, maybe this person is your twin flame, and maybe you are also obsessive as okay, hello? Why can't it be both? So again, it could be your obsessive tendencies that led you to find out about twin flames, which was great. See, God used a flaw to be a blessing for you. That's one of the most amazing things I found out about ADHD is how many of the things about me, my perfectionism, OCD, all the stuff that I kind of made me think I couldn't have ADHD actually come from my ADHD. So it's like, again, as you look at how you have been doing things in your life and you see that you're right on the edge, it may be tempting to spend so much time looking at the past, trying to figure things out, but that's kind of what got you into this mess in the first place. Honey, you cannot go back in time and you cannot go to the future either. In spite of what readers might tell you, in spite of what any spiritual space may say, in spite of any sci-fi, supernatural, whatever the fuck you're reading, whatever you're hearing, it's extremely rare, if not impossible, for anyone to have something like that happen. But what is real, what is not rare, but what is completely plausible is you deciding to do something moving forward and then going after it and making it happen. That, absolutely. Absolutely. So, be your own emperor. Did we look back here? Oh, yes. Watch out for the temptation to follow behind an emperor who doesn't really know what they're doing. Be cautious about doing things for the divine masculine when they're not even in your life. Okay, be cautious about how you pursue your freedom from the obsession. Focus instead on building. If you need to focus on a risk, some sort of situation that you need to deal with, it will happen as you plan. Okay, that is okay. There is no problem with being wise as you plan. There is a problem with going forward and building your whole plan around all your fears, all the what ifs, all that what hasn't happened yet. No. If you, and this is a question that's been coming up a lot. If you have Oh, someone said I have ADHD, and some people don't even know it. I think honestly, I am gonna do when I get rich. I have a lot of mental health stuff I want to do, and one of the things I'm gonna do is study the average westernized adult. I'm pretty sure there's something in our social structure and our electronics. There's just something kind of built in, even in America, with our sugar intake and the high fructose corn syrup and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure we all have it, at least in America. Yeah, that is a very tough thing to realize, because they're having undiagnosed mental illness, even something that can be looked at as simple as ADHD. It's devastating. And some of you don't even realize your divine masculines have these undiagnosed things. It could just be PTSD, where it's something they might actually be able to heal from with the work, but it could also be something that's like how their brain functions. There's a lot of people that are going to find out they're on the spectrum. And because of how autism was treated, at least with my generation and all that, to think that you think of the R word, the R word, that's very disrespectful. There's just a way that, as we continue to evolve in society, that we're going to have to start to realize what's really going on, who we really are. And a part of that is being able to acknowledge, hey, there is something in me that it makes me different. It makes me think different, act different. And I'm not just going to be like, I'm an INFJ. I'm not just going to sit there and say it. I'm not just going to brag about it. I'm different. I'm going to actually figure out what that means to me and use that to my advantage. Figure out how it makes me different, but better than, some of the same people in my same lane, so that I can stand out and do more. Anyways, Grace. You know what's funny? Isn't this the sun again? Aw, look what's underneath. I didn't mean to. Oh my gosh, I just realized, look at that. Wow, that's a message. The Empress and the Emperor right here, but it was the devil. Wow. Wow. Sorry, I actually went back here to tell you that this is the sun. 4 plus 15, 19 again. We might need to read that. All right. Final message. Wow. Divine Feminine. Okay. We have 8 of Swords. It is reversed. What's back here? 2 of... Jeez Louise. 10 of Cups, 10 of Swords, 10 of Wands. Jeez Louise. The only thing we're missing is 10 of Pentacles, but you got to have 10 of Cups to have that. So it's already... The energy's there. Divine Feminine, do you believe that you're on the edge? Or have you kind of just already claimed that things are not going to be different? Have you already decided that, I don't even know, there's so many words and thought patterns that I'm hearing, whether it's about twin flames, about your DM, about all DMs, about all DFs, about all, whatever it is, there are some things that honestly, you just say it. You just say it like it's real. Some of you say it like it's a joke, but you say, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you right now. If you're willing to admit it, what is something that you say, whether it's about DMs, twin flames, your DM specifically, readers, tarot, people in general, the world, society, America. What is something that you just kind of say, that you just kind of throw out a generalization, that you just kind of throw out an assumption? What is something that you say? Anybody? What? What is... Michaela, what are you talking about? I don't know what I just... Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. Tammy, thank you. That is such a good one, because I feel like that you probably got that from people. So Tammy said something she kind of says is, oh, people irritate me. And I know that as light workers, the first instinct is, oh, that is Tammy. How could you say that? But the truth is, that's a meme, Tammy. That's how real that is in our society. There are so many memes that say, my child wanted to go out today. And I was like, what are, there's going to be people there. Are you crazy? And it's like, that was before the pandemic even. This thing about all people suck, right? All people are bad. All people are out to get me. All people are this. All people are idiots. Oh, that's a good one. Let's see. What else do we got? Everything is temporary. That's an interesting one. He's stuck in his ego. That's it. That's a reader. A reader told you guys that. Readers told you guys that. Why? How is that just the thing? Do you even know? You're in your ego. Shut up. Not you, Jillian, but you divine feminine. Hold on. What else do we got? People are the worst. Oh, that's a good one. People say that. Yeah. A lot of people say that. Everyone has some good in them. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's true. Those of you who are saying things that might be positive, I asked you for the negative things that you say. Thank you very much. Let's see. People don't care. Oh, that's a big one where we just automatically assume when one person does something. I think I get like that. Like when I get bad service from one person, especially because I go out of my way. I'm a huge, like really good tipper. I try to make sure, like I remember I had to call about fraud to USAA once. And I told the lady, I said, listen, I'm freaking out and I'm probably going to talk to you right now in a way I would never speak to you. I apologize. And she was like, honey, I'll be acting the same way. I wouldn't even have said that. So look, right. But the truth is that was one person where sometimes you talk to someone and you're trying to communicate with them and connect with them and, maybe make it their day a little bit better and they're just not having it. And you know what I get? I get mad at them. It's like, that you're trying to cheer them up, assuming that they're probably having a crap day. And then when they do and they don't, and they have an attitude, then you're mad. It's like, that doesn't even make sense, Grace. Okay, hold on. Let's go back over here. Oh, if you were really tired of it, you would leave it. Ooh, yeah. Oh, somebody talking about something that happened with their baby daddy. That sucks. Look, it's two people outside. So look at this. Oh, I hated people before it was cool. Great. See? Oh my goodness. So, oh yeah, it is what it is. That's a tough one. Can't trust anybody. I want you to ask yourself, I'm naming these for a reason. Y'all think I'm just hanging out in the chat? I like to do this with you, but look at this. Can't trust anybody. Oh, I'm crazy. Oh yeah. Or everyone else is crazy. So just take a second. How many of those things, 50%, 75%, 25%, how many of those things or something like it do you believe is somehow built into your repertoire? Just generally speaking. I'm going to say that probably about 50%. Somebody said the people in their state don't know how to drive. See, again, that's a dangerous thing to say. I feel like every state says that, but you know what I mean? I remember when I lived in Vegas and I was in Nevada for 2 years. And within the first 6 months, every California driver can't drive because that's what everyone said there. So again, percentage wise, look at that. Too many. Can't even. Oh no, that was another one. Most of them I can relate to them. Okay. And that's the point. When you exist in an echo chamber, okay, that is a chamber where when you say something, it echoes back, right? If you walk into a big, huge silo and you say hello and you hear hello, 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 that is an echo chamber. When you come to a twin flame reading, it's an echo chamber. 99% of the people in the chat are going to agree with you most of the time. When you come to a chat like Ascension Spiritual Coaching, it could be a little bit different just because there's some like specific things that we do differently here. But even here is a freaking echo chamber. Why? Because eventually most of you are going to agree with or believe or somehow roll with what me and Mr. Lightwork are talking about. That's why you follow, right? That's why you're here. But what you have to be aware of is when you sit in these echo chambers, when you sit in these places where everything kind of just keeps coming back, you become in that moment that being, that thing. Now, I have been an extrovert my whole life, right? But in the last few years, as I started healing and all that, I started to call myself an ambivert because that was a popular term to mean you're both extroverted and introverted. But the truth is, I am most likely an extrovert. Okay. When it comes to how I interact with people, I enjoy being by myself and stuff. I think both of it is, I am probably everything, but realistically, I am probably an extrovert. What happened was I started to hear people say this and this and this and this and this. And I thought, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. And the more that I heard people say, oh, people suck. And oh, I don't want to go outside. And I realized, I don't like the club. When I go to the club, I stand on the wall or I go sit outside with the bouncers and maybe I am pretty antisocial. And I think I fell into this. And then when it came down to just kind of being in permanent quarantine, I just went all the way deep. And suddenly I'm telling myself I'm introverted and I'm all these things that I'm really not, because it became cool to be introverted or to not like people and da 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 da. So even I, being kind of weird and off and strange and in my own world, am susceptible to being confused about who I am if I get deep enough into a place where everyone's saying the same thing. And eventually you go, I've seen 12 memes that said something like that or to that effect for the past week. I think that must be true for me. And again, in that moment that I was telling people, oh, I'm an introvert, and I kind of have been acting like one for the past few years, but am I really one? No, guys, no, I'm not. Just because I think it in this moment and kind of feel it sort of and identify with it doesn't mean that's who I am. If I decide that's who I want to be, sure, I guess, and I can move forward with it, but that does not define me. And what I need you to understand is you walked into this space. Oh, I'm a divine feminine. Oh, I'm in separation. Oh, I'm the chaser. Am I the runner? What am I? And you started looking for answers in an echo chamber. And the more you connected with people who connected with your story, the more you felt like you were right. Whether or not, because sometimes y'all be in the chat and you'll say one thing, someone else will say something that really don't have nothing to do with each other. But you will connect it and you'll say, see, so-and-so, I remember that one girl in the chat said yes when I said this. So she agreed with me. And you will run with that shit. You cannot allow yourself to get caught up in being a part of this tribe and this community, thinking that we're a cult. Thinking that you need to act and think and move and be like us. Thinking that our goal and our job is to get you thinking like a fucking divine feminine hive mind of sameness. That's not what we're here to do. If you're feminist, your divine masculine is most likely going to hold those same beliefs, to be honest with you. Because when me and Mr. Lightwork met, no, he was not Christian. And I did hold back. But guess what? He was meant to be a Christian and that's who he became on his own without me. So if you're meant to be with someone, you're most likely going to have those things in common unless it would fit for your mission to have something opposite to give you guys the friction that you need to keep things going. Again, there is always a different reason why the uniqueness of our journeys must be respected, okay? So as you step forward and you start to address, what am I doing here? What is it that I want? What illusions have I laid out and grabbed a hold of? You also have to ask yourself, how did you get there? How did it get to a point where you would listen to that, believe that, think like that? The truth is, this is not your only echo chamber. This is just one chat you participate in. And shout out to all my members and subscribers and everybody who's been around. I love you guys. But again, I need you to think about it. Don't just walk away from this reading and say, okay, cool, that was fun. Just take a step and say, okay, I listened to Grace, who happens to be a life coach of like 10 years now, okay? I listened to Grace, who happens to be an MBA, who wants to help people start businesses or help people become better entrepreneurs in their jobs. She's a super light worker, like obsessed with it. Okay. Before she even knew as much as she knows about twin flames, she was obsessed with light work before she even knew twin flame. Okay. I'm on this person's channel. And for the past few weeks, she's been telling me that I need to get myself set up for 2022. Even if the plan changes, even if my ideas shift. Okay. But today's reading called me out so deep that I can't lie to myself anymore. I see where I need to change. What am I going to do? Am I now going to say, cool, and move forward with my life till the next reading? Or am I going to stop tonight, right now, whatever day I'm watching this, or plan it tomorrow on my lunch break and make myself do it, no less, because I understand ADHD. I'm real good at, I'm going to do that. And then, I gotten a lot better. But again, I know how it goes. Am I going to do what I need to do to make sure that this actually sticks and that I can really move into this? Because the weight of the world has been on my shoulders. I'm tired. I feel powerless. And I do not want to feel like this for another year. I feel very strongly, Divine Feminine, that if you are willing to do this, you will see the results of this almost immediately, if not immediately. Because some of you, the revelation you have will be bigger than the plan you make. Thank you guys. And Talia, bruh, round of applause to you for these boobs. No, but for real, this deck, as you can see, I love it. And again, I get people offering me decks I usually don't accept. I did accept that native deck the other day. I thought it was really nice. But you sent me this without me asking. And I was incredibly happy with it the moment I opened it, which again, like I have bought decks and looked at them in person and been like, nah, and I barely use them. I love this deck. This is not a plug. You are dope. And whatever energy you poured into this, it shines and it shows. And it's really great to have the creator of the deck here in the chat and in being able to see the people experiencing it, because I feel like it probably encourages you. I know you have a new deck coming too. I'm sure it encourages you to keep going. And I want to thank you, because the economy of sharing that you created just by sending this to our collective is so beautiful. So thank you. All right, I'm really out. If you're interested in working with me, my booking list will remain open, or my website will remain open until the end of the year. But I've already removed, you're probably going to see I only offer like 8 readings now, and 1 or 2 phone calls. I've really taken it down. My phone calls are going to focus more on business and light worker and helping people start their own business and their own organizations. And my readings are going to be more about helping people on the journey. So I'm not going to do as many specialty readings. So if you're interested in catching me while you can, because again, I'm really not sure if I'm going to keep offering readings come January. I recommend doing so now. I kept my prices for the DM personal, the DF personal, the separation love letter, and the reunion love letter. I kept those at the sale price from Black Friday. So right now you can still get those readings for $55.55. Again, that will never happen again. I will never do what I did to myself the past 3 years and overdo my sales again. I cannot do it anymore. I need to take better care of myself. So I'm not going to close it out because I offer that as a sale and I don't want to take that away. All right. But I'm just warning you now, especially for those of you who have always been able to get me to do a damn sale. No more. I am no longer running sales. Okay. So just throwing that out there. If you're cool getting collective readings, awesome. I'm going to be here more than ever, and we right there. But if you've always wanted a personal, $50 for a personal reading from me that you can watch in perpetuity, especially knowing the coaching you're going to get from it. And right now we're doing a lot of really big energies to prepare for 2022. I mean, it's just a really great time. But if you can't, again, especially if you've been here for a while and you never got one, you obviously didn't need a personal because you get what you need here. So don't stress it, okay? Follow your heart. Do what you know is right. Make sure you do not go into debt for Christmas, making any kind of purchases for your family or for yourself, okay? Don't hurt yourself trying to get a reading, all right? And if you won something from me and you haven't claimed it by sending an email to thefierygrace@gmail.com, you are going to be forfeiting your prize. And there's nothing you can do about it. You understand? Well, you could actually do something about it by emailing me, but then after. Okay. All right. I love you. I love you. I'm out of here. Peace. You don't.